So I want you to just think back for a second to the last time you attended a professional event.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe it was this massive industry conference spanning 3 days, or, maybe just a mandatory corporate retreat in some generic hotel.
Right. We've all been there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you walked through those doors, did you actually feel like an engaged, valued participant? Or did you just feel like, I don't know, another barcode being scanned at the door?
It's such a visceral memory for most people, isn't it? Like that distinct feeling of being processed rather than welcomed.
Totally processed.
Yeah. I mean, we've all stood in that endless cattle chute registration line, right? Just staring at a blank wall.
Waiting to be handed a generic tote bag.
Exactly. And then you're shuffled into a freezing, windowless ballroom. You walk in as a professional, but the whole environment instantly makes you feel, well, completely anonymous.
Yeah, and today's deep dive is really all about exploring the hidden architecture of that human experience to understand exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how the best in the business are fixing it.
Which they are, thankfully.
They really are.
Yeah.
So we're discussing some amazing material today from the magazine eventmag.me. We've pulled from a really fascinating stack of recent insights.
Yeah, some great stuff in there.
Specifically, we have this incredible in-depth article by Vaishali Shah. She's a consultant who has spent 25 years, engineering over 500 events.
That's a massive portfolio.
Right, and we're pairing her psychological approach with some really eye-opening recent industry dispatches by Sergey Larin.
And the mission here really is to deconstruct what separates a totally forgettable gathering from a truly transformative experience.
Yes.
We're looking at this crucial industry-wide shift from just, basic logistical planning to actual emotional curation.
Right, because we're going to be looking at how to perfectly balance digital efficiency with physical touch points. Because it turns out there's a literal science to making people feel something.
It really is.
And whether you're organizing a massive corporate summit, running a small team meeting, or just trying to understand the psychology behind why certain experiences resonate with you personally, this breakdown of what industry insiders call touch points is going to give you a completely new lens on human interaction.
Absolutely. But, before we decode the mechanics of building that perfect experience, we kind of have to look at the laboratory where these theories are being stress tested at the highest possible level.
On the high-stakes environment.
Right. And the gold standard right now is being set in the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council region.
Yeah, the GCC isn't just participating in the global events industry anymore. They are literally swallowing it whole.
Swallowing it whole is the perfect way to put it.
I mean, looking at Sergey Larin's news reports from early June 2026, the data points to just a total paradigm shift. At the 16th Eventex Awards in May 2026, the region didn't just show up to claim a few trophies.
No, they essentially swept the floor across all the major categories.
Yeah, and that dominance is highly intentional, right?
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Lauren discusses this concept he calls the cost of staying open test.
The cost of staying open test. Okay.
Yeah. It's a metric used to judge the underlying health and ambition of a market. Basically, you simply look at who shows up when showing up is logistically or economically really difficult.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. And he points specifically to the IMEX Frankfurt trade show, which ran from May 19th to the 21st in 2026.
Which is, IMEX is arguably the world's leading trade platform for the meetings industry.
Exactly. So when other regions were pulling back or scaling down their presence there, the Gulf arrived with an overwhelming footprint.
The numbers from Lauren's report just paint a picture of aggressive market capture. Dubai business events brought a delegation of 20 co-exhibitors.
20. Just massive.
Right. Abu Dhabi constructed this huge pavilion housing 22 partner companies.
Yeah.
Qatar wasn't just working the floor. They were actually holding closed-door meetings for ICCA, the International Congress and Convention Association.
Which signals they're already strategizing global infrastructure years into the future. It's not just about today for them.
And Dubai even timed this to launch a brand new investment platform specifically to fund event businesses. The sheer volume of that investment reveals a fundamental shift in philosophy.
Right, because in the fiercely competitive GCC market, you no longer win market share simply by building a flashier convention center.
No, because everyone has one.
Exactly. Every major player has a state-of-the-art ballroom with incredible chandeliers.
Yeah.
You win by engineering a superior emotional environment.
Which perfectly sets up Vaishali Shah's core argument in her Event Mag May piece. She states that organizers fail because they fixate entirely on content and logistics, and they just completely forget the delegates process emotion.
Right. Planners get this tunnel vision on the run of show.
Oh, the dreaded run of show spreadsheet.
Yes. They're staring at the spreadsheet, making sure the microphones work, the catering is timed to the exact minute, the lighting cues are flawless.
And they start treating the attendees like data packets moving through a server.
Exactly. But a human being doesn't experience a schedule. They experience the friction or the flow of the environment.
I like to think of it like an analogy of a blockbuster movie, right?
Yeah.
Like an event that only focuses on logistics is like a technically flawless blockbuster movie that has a terrible script.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like it looks perfect on paper, the CGI is great, but you leave the theater feeling absolutely nothing.
That is exactly it. Treating an event as a curated emotional experience forces you to abandon that data packet mindset. You stop asking how to move people efficiently from room A to room B, and you start asking, well, what is the delegate feeling during that transition?
Yeah.
And that changes every single downstream decision on the timeline.
So if the goal is to curate an emotional experience, the immediate question is when that emotional journey actually begins.
Right.
Because the instinct is to say it starts when the doors open. But looking at Shah's data, the critical window opens weeks before you ever step foot inside the venue.
Yeah, the pre-event phase sets the entire psychological baseline. Shah warns against the massive danger of that automated, your registration is confirmed email.
Oh, I hate those.
They're terrible. It's a purely transactional receipt. It provides zero context, lacks any human warmth, and essentially communicates to the delegate that a machine has logged their payment.
Yeah, not that a human host is anticipating their arrival.
Exactly.
But wait, I have to push back a little here.
Okay, go for it.
We're talking about dynamic subject lines in a corporate email. Like, does inserting a first name via mail merge or segmenting a mailing list actually change human behavior on the convention floor 3 weeks later?
It's a fair question.
I mean, it feels like we might be overestimating the power of a standard marketing tool. Does an email with your name on it really matter that much?
Well, see, it's not about the technological trick of mail merge.
Okay.
It's about establishing psychological safety. When you receive communication that is genuinely tailored to your specific industry role or your stated interests, it alters your threat response.
Threat response?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because humans entering a new, massive environment are naturally guarded. A personalized, segmented preview, telling a delegate exactly what value they'll get out of the event, lowers those defenses.
Oh, I see.
You transition them from feeling like an anonymous target to an expected guest.
So you prime them so they walk through the funnel venue doors already receptive, rather than walking in with their armor up, waiting to be convinced.
Exactly. But if that personalized email lowers someone's psychological defenses at home, the immediate challenge is not ruining that delicate mindset the second they arrive.
Right.
And that brings us to what Shah calls the first 5 minutes rule. She argues that the first post-registration communication and the first 5 minutes on site carry a disproportionate outsized influence over how the delegate will perceive the entire multi-day event.
Wow, just the first 5 minutes. And the first physical touch point is almost always the registration desk. So Shah outlines 2 scenarios that dictate the energy of the entire building. In the standard scenario, you have a chaotic, processed line. People are stressed, searching for QR codes, holding up the queue.
Just a nightmare.
Yeah. But then she contrasts this with a high-profile conference that completely re-engineered this touch point. What they did was they gave standard delegates highly efficient, fast-track self-service kiosks.
Which people love.
Right, speed. But for VIPs, they created separate, dedicated desks with actual hosts who were briefed to greet them by name.
And the brilliance of that strategy isn't just about making the VIPs feel elite.
Oh, it's not.
No, by pulling the high-maintenance or high-touch delegates out of the main flow, the standard delegates experience significantly shorter queues.
Oh, so everyone wins.
Yes, the ambient anxiety in the lobby dropped. The first 5 minutes felt orchestrated, serene, and intentional, rather than frantic and competitive.
That makes total sense. And then once you survive the desk, you're handed the badge. Which, it sounds incredibly mundane, but Shah's breakdown of lanyard psychology is fascinating.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's not just a piece of paper and a plastic sleeve.
No. She points to typography, like making names large enough so people don't have to awkwardly squint at your chest.
Which creates so much social friction.
Exactly. And she highlights sector color coding, which
Mhm.
allows introverts or, targeted networkers to instantly spot relevant people across a crowded room without having to initiate 50 dead-end conversations.
And the material of the badge itself is this silent communicator. Shaw notes that using bamboo, recycled plastics, or biodegradable lanyards reinforces the brand's sustainability values far more effectively than a keynote speech about the environment.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're taking an abstract corporate value and turning it into a tangible object the delegate has to physically wear around their neck for 3 days.
If you've ever attended an event that claimed to be green, but then they served lunch in single-use styrofoam,
Oh, the worst.
yeah, you know how quickly that cognitive dissonance destroys trust? The biodegradable lanyard aligns the physical reality with the marketed promise.
Definitely. So with the delegates successfully in the door, feeling valued and wearing an optimized badge, the challenge shifts to sustaining that positive momentum using the physical environment itself.
And this brings us to the tangible touch points inside the room. Shaw officially declares the death of the 200-page printed program.
Good riddance.
Seriously. We all know the one. You're handed a massive, heavy binder that you know you will never open.
Never once.
And it just becomes a physical burden you have to lug around until you inevitably leave it in your hotel recycling bin.
Right, it's a massive signal of waste.
Yeah.
And it visually communicates that the organizers are operating on a decade-old playbook.
Oh.
The modern alternative, Shaw proposes, is a beautifully designed premium stock card featuring a simple QR code.
Love that.
Yeah, and it links to live updates, dynamic schedules, and speaker bios.
But, and this is a big but, she includes a massive flashing warning sign about these digital tools. QR codes are less than useless without robust, flawless Wi-Fi. She shares this anecdote about attending highly anticipated conferences where these QR codes were plastered on every surface. But the event app took 5 minutes to load because the network was completely jammed by 1,000 smartphones.
Oh, that's infuriating.
It's like handing someone a treasure map but refusing to give them a compass. It just creates frustration rather than efficiency.
That's a great way to put it. Promising a seamless digital shortcut that leads directly to a spinning loading wheel creates deeper resentment than simply handing out a paper schedule.
Yeah.
It's a broken promise. Your attempt at digital efficiency becomes a source of deep, acute frustration. The Wi-Fi codes must be highly visible, and the bandwidth must be over-engineered.
Because it's the ultimate friction point. And all of these logistical details tie directly back to the emotional energy of the delegate, right? If they're fighting the internet or carrying a heavy binder, their cognitive bandwidth is being drained by the environment instead of being spent on the content.
Exactly.
Which perfectly explains Shaw's findings on room geography.
Yes, room setup directly dictates human behavior. Shaw explains the profound physiological difference between a standard theater-style room and a cabaret setup.
Right.
In a theater setup, you're sitting shoulder to shoulder in tight rows.
Putting people in a shoulder-to-shoulder theater setup triggers a subtle, persistent fight-or-flight response.
It really does.
You're subconsciously guarding your physical boundaries. You have nowhere to put your laptop, your phone, or your notebook. You're physically tense, just trying to balance a hot coffee on your knee without bumping the stranger next to you.
You're basically in a defensive posture.
Yes.
And Shaw observed what happened when this exact same audience, with the exact same content, was moved to a cabaret setup.
Which means small round tables with comfortable chairs.
Exactly. And crucially, built-in charging points at the tables.
Oh, that's huge.
The behavior shifted instantly. The specific metric she measured is staggering. Moving to the cabaret setup literally doubled the audience participation in live polls.
Doubled. Wait, really? Just by giving them tables?
Yes. If you've ever felt yourself checking out of a meeting or mindlessly scrolling on your phone instead of listening to the speaker, it probably wasn't the speaker's fault.
Yeah.
You were likely sitting in a room that was geographically hostile to your attention span.
Wow. So moving to a cabaret table is like taking off a heavy backpack. The cognitive load of protecting your physical space just drops to zero.
Exactly.
You have a secure place to rest your belongings, your phone is charging, and your physiological anxiety disappears.
Right. And your brain naturally diverts all that saved energy into engaging with the presentation. A thoughtful layout doesn't just accommodate attendees, it actively invites collaboration.
That's incredible. So, okay, the keynotes wrap up, the polls close, and the lights come up. The live experience is over. How do organizers ensure the event actually lives on in the delegate's mind after they board their flight home?
Right, so we transition from the live experience to the lasting memory. Shaw focuses heavily on the psychology of takeaway objects and memory triggers. She details her consulting work for a Marriott VIP media event in Dubai, which honestly serves as a masterclass in getting the final touch point right.
Well, the guest list was highly international, right?
Right.
So the concept was centered around global connection and travel. They built these takeaway gifts using a suitcase-style packaging constructed entirely from sustainable materials.
Which aligns perfectly with the hotel's environmental ethos we discussed earlier.
Exactly.
And the brilliance of the suitcase concept was how it engaged the senses. It wasn't just, a generic branded pen or a stress ball thrown into a bag.
Ugh, the stress balls.
Yeah, nobody needs more of those.
Mm.
The packaging had a distinct texture, a premium weight, and it even incorporated scent elements tied to the concept of travel.
Scent,
Hmm.
which is so smart because scent is directly hardwired into the memory centers of the brain. When they open that suitcase-style box weeks later on their desk, the tactile feel and the smell instantly transport them back to the emotional state they were in during the event.
Exactly. It also heavily leveraged the Instagrammability factor. By engineering objects in moments that are genuinely visually compelling, you extend the event's lifespan on social media far beyond the actual day.
So the event continues to broadcast itself through the delegates' networks.
Right. Shaw notes that a successful takeaway gift must meet one of three criteria.
Okay, what are they?
It must solve a practical problem, create a moment of unexpected delight, or serve as a strong reminder of a valued moment.
Okay, but let's look at this critically for a second. We exist in a hyper-digital era.
Very true.
In a world where we can put literally everything on a smartphone, the schedule, the networking contacts, the follow-up materials, the photos, why does holding a physical piece of premium cardstock or taking home a tangible gift box still carry so much psychological weight for an attendee?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Shaw synthesizes this tension between the digital and the physical beautifully. At our core, human beings are tactile primates. Our brains process texture, weight, and physical presence as indicators of value and permanence. In the premium Dubai market, digital tools like custom apps and live polling are absolute baseline expectations. They allow delegates to navigate complex environments autonomously.
Yeah.
But digital interactions are inherently frictionless, which often makes them feel cold and transactional.
Because swiping a glass screen does not release oxytocin. It doesn't make you feel cared for by another human being.
Exactly. Physical touch points create an emotional anchor that a screen simply cannot replicate. The guiding principle is intentionality.
Oh.
You leverage technology to eliminate logistical friction, but you use physical tactile touch points to enhance human connection. Shaw advises organizers to meticulously map out the entire delegate journey, from the first digital invitation to the final physical follow-up, just to locate and eliminate those emotional friction points.
And cultural context acts as a massive multiplier here too, right? In the GCC market where Shaw operates, high-touch, personalized, tactile gestures are the fundamental building blocks of trust. You cannot automate hospitality in a culture that prizes personal relationship building.
No, understanding your specific audience's cultural expectations is non-negotiable. And finally, Shaw insists that true success cannot be measured merely by scanning barcodes and counting headcount.
No.
It has to be measured through direct, qualitative delegate feedback. The ultimate metric is asking the attendee, did this environment feel specifically designed for you?
Wow. So bringing all these sources from eventmag.me together, Vaishali Shah's deep psychological expertise on touchpoints combined with Circularen's hard data on the GCC market's explosive growth, it all points to one undeniable conclusion.
Yeah.
Elevating an event from merely competent to truly transformative is not about having unlimited budgets or massive, overwhelming scale. It's entirely about the discipline of care.
That's so well said.
When you take the time to map out the emotional impact of every single touch point, you transform basic event logistics into a lasting, unshakable reputation.
You evolve from processing crowds to moving individuals.
I love that. And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, because this philosophy shouldn't just be confined to massive convention centers in Dubai.
Oh, absolutely not.
If mapping these physical and digital touch points and optimizing for a seamless emotional experience works so effectively in a high-stakes professional setting, how might we apply this exact same framework to our everyday lives?
The application of this framework to personal relationships is incredibly revealing.
Think about the registration desk or the first 5 minutes of how you welcome guests into your own home. Think about the pre event communication of how you set up a weekend dinner with your friends.
Right, like, are you just handling the cold logistics, firing off a text about what time to show up and
Yeah.
what food you ordered, or are you actively designing the emotional experience for the people you care about?
Exactly, because whether it's 1,000 industry professionals navigating a summit in Abu Dhabi or just four friends sitting around your dining room table,
Yeah.
absolutely no one ever wants to feel like a barcode being scanned at the door.